Do you feel the vibes?
What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin coming back to you with another video, and welcome to my NFL 2017 Week 12 recap between the Carolina Panthers and the New York Jets. The Carolina Panthers ended up picking up the win 35-27 to move to 8-3. That NFC playoff race is going to go down to the wire. Really setting up that New Orleans game, and probably the winner of that game is going to win that division. Now the Falcons are still there as well, but that's that NFC South definitely has been very competitive. But and the Jets moved to 4-7. Now in this game, the Panthers, you could tell, coming off that bye, the offense was very rusty. You're re-adding Greg Olsen. He hasn't played in 8 games, so you saw that was a lot of rust. He didn't get a bunch of snaps, and he ended up re-injuring that ankle. So hopefully it's not too bad. It didn't seem too bad. He wasn't in a boot or anything like that. So they're probably going to reevaluate him for the next week. But the Panthers' offense was very rusty. The running game wasn't as good as the last 2 outs for them, and the passing game, other receivers need to step up outside of Funches. Let's get into the numbers, starting with the Jets. Josh McCown, 19 of 36, 307 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. A big majority of that came in that second half to really 2 receivers. 2 receivers had a total of 251 yards between the 2 of them. So of his 307 yards. So, the other guys for the Jets really didn't do much else. Austin Seferian-Jenkins didn't play as well as he has been throughout the season. But I felt as though McCown did make some plays. It was some big chunk plays for him. But the Panthers, the reason his completion percentage is much lower than what he's been averaging throughout the season, the Panthers defense did get some pressure on him, forced some errant throws, some very inaccurate throws. They even got a sack fumble for a return for a touchdown. So the Panthers were able to get pressure. The secondary, but the Panthers helped him out a lot. Really not able to stick to his man when the play really breaks down. You saw that a lot. Big plays. The Jets rushing, Bilal Powell, 9 carries, 34 yards. Josh McCown, 2 carries, 28 yards. He had a big 22-yard. He's not a running quarterback, so it's going to catch teams off guard when he does run. Matt Forte, 10 carries, 26 yards. And McGuire, 5 carries, 21. So really outside of the big 22-yard gain, which the Jets ended up having a total of 26 carries, 109 yards. Without really that big gain, I thought the Panthers really did a really good job in containing them. They would have been under 100 yards rushing. Looking at receiving, Robbie Anderson, 6 receptions, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. The dude was a beast. He was a beast in this game. He made some really nice catches, especially the one at the end of the half. That was a really nice catch. Jermaine Kearse, who finds a way to play well against the Panthers, even when he was with Seattle. 7 receptions, 105 yards on that touchdown. He played well. But then it drops off from there. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, 2 receptions, 27 yards. He had two chances at a touchdown. The first one, wide open, drops it. Just outright drops it. The second one, he does catch it in the back of the end zone, but his shoulder lands out of bounds. It's incomplete. They ended up kicking a field goal. McGuire, 1 reception, 13. Bilal Powell, 1 reception for 12. And, that's pretty much it in terms of significant numbers. Looking at the Jets defense, I felt as though up front they played well. They were getting some pressure on Cam. Really, they were able to contain Cam. If you look at his the last few outs for Cam, he did a really good job of rushing the ball, really, break and contain. But the Jets did a really good job of containing him in the pocket, and were able to run him down when he did rush the ball. Even some design runs for him really didn't get any big yards. So I felt as though up front they played well. Back in, not too hard. The only target that was reliable was Funches. Greg Olsen still trying to get back into the offense. But I like what they did against the run. Jonathan Stewart had a 1.7 average. Most of the Panthers' rushing yards were big plays. It was a 40-yard run by Christian McCaffrey, and there was a 29-yard end around to Kellen Clay. So they did a really good job against the run. The numbers won't tell you that, but if you watch the games, Carolina wasn't able to establish a consistent running game. Looking at the Panther side, Cam Newton, terrible. 11 of 28, 168 yards, 0 touchdowns. He didn't turn the ball over. That's a good thing. But bad timing, especially with Greg Olsen, where that one throw should have been a touchdown. Guys dropping passes, and then the coverage was really tight. Guys weren't really creating a bunch of separation. Even the throws that Devin Funchess caught, a lot of them were heavily contested. So it's not a bunch of separation. They really relying on a guy like Kellen Clay. Russell Shepard did nothing. And that's a guy that really been trying to push, but he did nothing in this game. We're looking at the Carolina rushing game. Christian McCaffrey, 7 carries, 62 yards. He had the big 40-yard carry, as I said. Kellen Clay, 1 carry, 29. That was the end around. Cam Newton, 9 carries, 28. If you look at the last couple of games, he had some big chunk plays. He didn't get one in this game. But he did have a touchdown. It was on a play action boot rollout. Pretty much easy walk-in touchdown. He had one player to beat. Jonathan Stewart, 15 carries, 26 yards in a touchdown. He had a 1.7 yard per rush. He didn't play too good. And you got to give credit to the Jets defense. Receiving. Devin Funchess, 7 receptions, 108 yards. And it drops off from that. Christian McCaffrey, 2 receptions for 35. Ed Dixon, one reception for 15. Greg Olsen, 1 reception for 10. And the only other player that got targets was Kellen Clay. He got targeted 3 times. He dropped 1. And the other 2, he was just covered. So, I named running back, two tight ends, and 1 receiver. The other receivers are going to have to step up. Looking on Carolina's defense, I thought up front they played well. They gave up some solid runs to the Jets, but for the most part, they were really able to contain them. They were able to get pressure on Josh McCown, hence why his completion percentage is lower than what he normally averages. Problem was the secondary. Secondary lost to contain. Kurt Coleman was terrible. Worley was terrible. Bradbury was terrible. Jarrisburg, whenever he was in there, terrible. Really, up front was really where the Panthers' strength is at. But that secondary made them look so bad just because of complete busted coverages. So we're going to have to really clean that up. And it's been on and off. They've been good in one game, then they'll be terrible in another. And part of that is due to that front seven being so good and them getting so much pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Looking at team stats, time of possession, Carolina usually is going to win time of possession against most teams because they are a running football team. 31 minutes, 50 seconds to the Jets, 28 minutes, 10 seconds. Also, Carolina was playing with the lead and in the game, so burning the clock was something they were trying to do. Looking at turnovers, the Jets had the 1 turnover, but that led directly to a touchdown. Also, special teams for Carolina. Kellen Clay had the punt return for a touchdown. So special teams helped Carolina a lot in this game. The last 2 touchdowns for Carolina were special teams or defense. The fumble, then the punt return. Really helped out Carolina in that game. Third down efficiency, Carolina's 3 of 14, awful. The Jets were a little bit better at 5 and 14, but both teams really struggled with moving the ball. Like I said, the Jets a lot of it were big plays that led directly to scores. Penalties, both teams were sloppy. Carolina had 10 penalties for 84 yards, but you look at the game, Carolina had more penalties, but the Jets had those back-breaking penalties. 2 that really come to mind were I can't remember exactly who was on, but it was a 4th and 2, and the guy goes offsides, pretty much gifting Carolina a first down, and Carolina ended up getting a score in that possession. That was the Jonathan Stewart run. So you were going to get off the field, you're going to get the ball, but instead you end up, the Panthers ended up getting a touchdown. Another one by the Jets was at the end of the game. It was like 3rd and 14, and Cam throws an incompletion. I believe his name was Pennell. I want to say it was that. I'm trying to just remember off the top of my head. He gets a late hit on Cam, where he could have just easily pulled up. The ball was already gone. He could have easily pulled up. He gets a late hit on Cam, gives him 15 yards, pretty much ending the game for the Jets, not even giving the offense a chance. So it's just plays like that. You can't have penalties like that and expect to make the playoffs, because penalties like that, one essentially led to a touchdown, and the other pretty much allowed the team to burn the rest of the clock, leaving your offense did get the ball back with 20 seconds and no timeouts to have to go the length of the field, down by 8. So big time penalties, and it's not exactly how many penalties they had. It was the big penalties like that, ones that back you up. When you're having a good drive, you have one that back you up and really hurt your drive, or just kind of just gifting the team yards when that's just a boneheaded penalty. But that pretty much does it. Next games, the Carolina Panthers head next games in New Orleans. Definitely one of their bigger games, and the Jets play the Kansas City Chiefs, who's been a reeling team. They've lost 4 of their last 5 or something like that. They haven't played well. They lost yesterday. But Carolina's really gonna have to. They're really gonna have to pick it up on offense, especially you head to New Orleans. New Orleans team's been playing great, and defensively, the secondary is gonna have to play better. A lot of the errors I saw was not just talent; it was busted plays, guys getting out of position. You stay in position, you have a good chance of making a play on the ball. But that pretty much does it for this week. Let me know what you think down in the comment section if you watched this game. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.